we're doing DJs, right?
Sweet.
Which is dope. I have a background in music as well. So I toured for over a decade with my band.
No way.
Called Danger Flow.
Nice.
We were the Miami Heat band, and
Hey.
yeah, man, we had a lot of amazing adventures. You know, so this specific episode, it hits close to my heart, man, because I'm a born musician.
Love it. Yeah.
And I love music, man.
Yeah.
So so hopefully we have a good episode. We can learn from each other and get to know each other.
Yeah.
You know, I saw your videos, phenomenal, man.
Thank you.
Super high quality. You know, everything was on point, man. Was
Yeah.
tight. You know, and I think that's extremely important right now in these days and times, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the presentation has to be there.
I was just talking to them about that out there. I said if I was in
100%.
college again, I would literally be so rich.
Oh yeah,
I would I just think of like at 23 having all this technology and like I just posted a video on YouTube, me DJing, and it hit 10,000 views. I was like,
Nice.
why have I not been doing this?
Yeah.
right.
I was like, imagine like if I was just starting, and I'm sure we'll get into this. I was like, if I was 23 building my brand, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it would be insane right now.
Yeah, man. The world is your oyster, man. It's interesting because you know, when I was younger, you know, I've been making money since I was a kid. You know, 12 years old, maybe even younger. I was picking up cans and just getting to it. You know, and I was telling a friend the other day that you know, when I was younger, I was maybe doing things that weren't necessarily on the right side of the law at that time.
Yeah.
And you know, if I had social media right now, or I had e-commerce, you know, things of that nature, I would never have even turned to those, you know, to those methods to make money. You know, I would have been
Hustling the other way.
oh yeah, man, yeah, and most likely I would have been exponentially more successful. You know, because I didn't have to do things under the cover of night,
Right,
so to
yeah.
speak, right? So yeah, that's I heard you when you were speaking about that, you know, outside. I was like, oh man, this guy's speaking my language right now. There's just so many resources. I mean, even like right now, vibe coding, like you don't even have to be a coder. You know, you can literally speak your desires to the AI, and then the AI will take it from there. You know, it'll actually feed off of your vibe, right? Vibe coding.
Yeah.
It'll feed off of your vibe, and then it'll actually create. Like I want a purple elephant in the corner of the web page, you know, top left corner. You don't even have to code that into the web page anymore. It'll just do it, you know?
My roommate had to tell his AI to like stop using slang because
Oh,
it was like catching on to him so well, and he was like, "Whoa, like stop talking like that." I was like,
Ebonics.
I was like, "You got an iRobot over there."
That's crazy.
Yeah, Black GPT, I call it. I was like,
That's
oh, boy.
beautiful, man. Yeah, it's amazing, and people are, you know, I'm sure you know this, right? Like people are actually they're programming their AI to be their personal assistant.
Yep.
You know, to be their motivator, their mental health coach.
Yeah.
You know, so imagine all the industries that are going to either dissolve or evolve in a completely different way. You know that we see them now.
Yep.
But just the opportunity, man.
Yeah, I was listening to this podcast and it was talking about AI, and it was basically saying like you should not be afraid of AI. You should be afraid of not learning how to use it because
Yeah, exactly.
it's the same thing like when phones came out. Like, oh, like this is gonna ruin our world. No, just use how to use it, and then like you'll be okay.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite quotes actually, and you can like take the word companies out and put like the word, you know, humans in it or people, is bad companies are destroyed by crisis, good companies survive it, and great companies are improved by it. So it's the same thing with like what's going on. Like either you're going to be improved by what's going on like with AI or what's going on with the world or like recession and things like that, you'll survive it, or you're going to be completely destroyed by it because like you didn't want to evolve or whatever it may be. So
Absolutely. Yeah, we got to keep, what is it? Like Bruce Lee says, you have to be like water, right?
yep.
We can't turn into, for you younger guys, you know, it's
Going to be a lot of knowledge on this today.
Oh man. Yeah, we can't be pillars of salt, man. You gotta stay moving and not be stagnant. I love that. I love that analogy.
It's one of my favorite quotes, man, I swear.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. So so real quick, you know, we just want to give greetings to the world right now. Greetings, young world. This is another episode of Next in Line, where we bridge the gap between well-established individuals in given fields and those who are beginning and striving to be successful in those fields. You know, so today we have our esteemed guest, DJ Leek. He's with us, and we also have DJ Kenden Chaz. DJ Leek, he's established in the world of music. You should definitely check out his social media, which he'll be plugging soon, and we'll also be plugging. But I was just telling him off camera that all of his content, it's super high quality, it's engaging, super engaging, and most importantly, it's positive, it's uplifting, and a lot of times, like I always tell myself, I'm very self motivated, right? Mm-hmm. But someone told me recently, they said, who motivates the motivator?
Right.
Yeah. Right. And when I was looking at DJ Leek's content, I was like, man, this guy's a motivator. Like someone, and you never know, right? That's the beauty of social media. You never know who's listening and who's watching. But I'm sure that there's people out there that, when they're feeling a little bit down or they're not, there's that pep is not in their step, I'm sure they're going to your Instagram.
Hey, that's if they are, I appreciate it. It's nice. I think for me, it's anything I put out is a self-reflection. Most of the time I'm not like, I try not to be like preachy. Most of the time I'm like, no, this is actually something I just recently was going through. So like, I'm just going to share it. So yeah, mostly anything that I post that's like motivational or positive is probably something I just got done getting through, or something I'm currently going through, or something that like, I struggled with in the past. So
yeah,
beautiful.
It's like a representation of who you are, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's why I tell people all the time, like, whether you like it or not, like everyone's a brand these days, and
for sure,
brand is the new word for reputation. Like, so when you're out and about, or people ask about who you are, like that's your brand. So, and with social media, as much as maybe people don't want to agree, what you put out is like what people perceive of you.
Yeah.
And you could be like, well, that's not really who I am. It's like, well, I don't know that. That's all I see. I remember when I was in college DJing, I was always posting like me drinking and like having fun in the booth, and like, women would be like, you're a party boy. And I'm like, I'm a good guy. Like there's depth to me. And they're like, I don't know. I'm just like, oh, it's because of what I'm putting out is what you guys are perceiving. So my brand, I had to do some rebranding like when I was younger and be like, okay, like let's, we can have our fun, but like, let's not just make our social media just always, and I mean, I never did anything terribly bad, but I never swore on my social media. Like, when Twitter was like, it's still huge, but like, how they find people's old tweets. I was never worried about that. I was like, because I didn't tweet anything bad, because even like at a younger age, like I figured out, I'm like, yo, this is my brand. Like I gotta be able to like sell myself essentially. So
absolutely. Yeah, and that all comes back. It could either come back to haunt you, or it could come back to bless you, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So let me just ask you a question really quick. I'd like for you to give us a background, of how you started. But what motivates you?
Oh, that's kind of a question I've honestly had to ask myself recently. And I know I don't like to throw the age thing around, but I mean, when you're younger, it's easy to be motivated because you got the whole world in front of you. You get a little bit older, you're like, man, I'm trying to be motivated, but I got this car note, I got these bills, my family's down my back. You're trying to figure out a lot more things. So trying to stay motivated can be a little bit more difficult because you're being pulled in so many different ways. Like when I was in college, it was like go to class and DJ. That was it. That's all I had to worry about. Yep. My rent was cheap, so my DJ money was easily paying for my rent. So now I think for me, it's just, and I'm a pretty spiritual guy. Like what motivates me is to live like the best life before like I get out of here. Like I'm a person, I'm like, I don't want to waste my time here. We only get to do it once. So I'm like, let me just go for it. Let me, put myself out there. Let me try new things, because at the end of the day, I had a buddy of mine, we talk, and he's like, on your deathbed, you're going to be surrounded by, a bunch of versions of yourself that, are going to visit you. And it's like, how many of those versions are going to be at that deathbed? I'm like, dang, like, I don't want any. I want to just be like in that bed and be like, all right, well, all the people that I could have been, all the versions of myself I could have been, like I went for it and I was. Yeah. So I think that's what kind of motivates me now at being older, is just living a fulfilled life, and just and going for the things that I want to do. Because, man, you look around, there's a lot of people not doing it, and they're stressed and they don't like their lives. Like I'll ask my sister, if you could do like one job, what would it be? And she's like, not to work.
Right.
I'm like, that sounds good. But like for me, like I get excited to go to work. You know, I get excited to talk to people about what I do because it fulfills me. Like it makes me happy. So I think like a lot of people don't have that. And I just don't want to live like that. So I think that kind of what is like what motivates me. So
that's powerful, man. Yeah, just to touch on that, it's interesting because, you know, with age, you know, with wisdom, that's why I always tell my young brothers, I always say like, hey man, don't rush to get older. But when you're older, that body of wisdom, you know, that meets with your experience, and then also if you're healthy, you know, if you're wealthy spiritually, mentally, emotionally, not necessarily, you know, monetarily just yet, you can kind of meld all those together, and you're literally the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. But if you don't do that, as you get older, it starts breeding envy and jealousy, and you start kind of like literally, like I look at it like, as us, you know, being living, breathing organisms, like a mold or a calcification starts forming over your consciousness, and that's very dangerous. You know, so touching on what you said, Leek. You know, when you're young, it's easy to stay motivated, but as you get older, if you don't continue to strive and continue to go past that plateau, you know, you'll start calcifying.
Yeah, I think of it like a boxer. Like when you're like a new boxer, you ain't been hit in the face yet. So you're like, I want to get in the ring. Like I want to fight somebody. And then boop, boop, boop. You're like, whoa, we did not.
Like a truck.
Yeah, you're like, we did not train for this. It's like this dude has a crazy jab. You're like, where did that come from?
That white light.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you get older, you kind of start getting hit a little more, and you're like, man, I'm starting to take some hits. Like my body's like wearing down, like my mind's wearing down, and so. You know, like I feel like we're gonna get real deep here today.
Yeah,
He's got the manifest shirt on. Like I'm like, oh, boy. I'm like, he doesn't even know.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
sir.
you know, it's just like you have to continue to train your body and your mind to take these hits. If you just keep taking them and you're not, you know, getting back in the gym, you're not keeping yourself fresh, then like, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of wear and tear.
Oh, yeah.
And that's like how I kind of stay motivated too. It's like I've taken my hits through life, and the way that I continue to stay motivated is to, you know, get back to myself, whether it's through working out, you know, journaling, praying, you know, being outside, just doing all that stuff. Cause that's where it all starts. You know, I can't be a good DJ if, you know, I'm not in a good mindset. If I pull up to a gig and I'm like, man, I've just been stressed, I'm not in a good mood. I really don't even want to be here. Yeah. Like that's going to show through my work. But if I'm in a great mood and I can talk to my clients, hey, what's up? How you guys doing? Like, excited to be here. Thanks for coming. I'm on time. Like, that shows through the work. And I think that's a big reason why I've gotten to a place where I'm at, because I always have tried to take care of myself, you know, and I always try to show up and not let what's affecting me affect my work. Like, I could be having like the worst day. Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, let's do this podcast. Like, I'm not going to come here like, yeah, I got 30 minutes. Like, let's hurry up.
Yeah,
like, you know. So
yeah, and that impression, right? It leaves an impression on people. And one thing, going back to, you know, having a body of experience behind you, you know, just speaking to you, Kenden, as you're starting this, people where they begin, where they start is not where they end. Yeah. And it's interesting how you can feel like you're on top of the world, and you treat people a certain way, you know, either directly or indirectly, or you just have an air of whatever that air is, right? Mm-hmm. Arrogance or humility. Yeah. You know, on both ends of the spectrum, it comes back around. You know, it comes back around, and maybe someone's struggling today, but tomorrow they're on top of the world. So you always, you know, not necessarily to be false, right, and to not be your true, authentic self, but like you said, you always have to keep that game face, and you always have to treat people the way that you want to be treated.
Absolutely,
you never know what those people, what they can do for you later,
and you never know who you're gonna run into. You can, man, there's been so many times I've been like at a gig or something. People are like, you know who you're just talking to? I'm like, no. They're like, that's the president of the company. I'm like, oh, nice. They're like, you guys are just chatting it up. I'm like, bro, that's because I don't, not that I don't care, but I'm like, I just treat everybody the same.
Yeah,
so
exactly, as you should.
I could be talking to, you know, I could be sitting next to Jeff Bezos. What's up, Jeff? Like, what's up, man? Like,
nonchalant.
Yeah, like, it is what it is. Like, you know, just treat everyone the same, you know. Yeah. But I feel like I kind of dodged your question about how I started. If you want me to,
Yeah, no, that would have been my next question. But it's all for the good. It's all, it's a healthy conversation we're having, and it all revolves around being the best versions of ourselves and being the best DJs, and tapping into the frequency, right? If your brain is if your headspace is somewhere else, you can't tap into the frequency of that room and cater to your audience the best way that you can, So with that being said, Leek, let us know how you started your journey of DJing, and you can go as far back as you want.
Man, yeah. It's been a long 12 years, man. A long 12 years. So how I started, so I grew up in a very music loving family. Saturday mornings I heard gospel on, like it's time to clean, or like my sister and I, when my mom would leave, we'd watch music videos. My mom loved to dance. My dad, they're big on hosting people. So just being in that environment of almost I don't want to call it party element, but we were always hosting people. People are always over at my place. I would have cookouts. I'd bring the TV outside, and I just have friends over from high school and stuff. It was around my senior year I started to get into DJing. I bought this small board from Bed Bath and Beyond, and you just plugged it into your computer. I used virtual DJ.
From Bed Bath and Beyond?
It was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing. My homie had found it, and he's like, I found this small DJ board, and I was like, that thing is pretty sweet. And I had been messing around on virtual DJ already.
Yeah.
Where my love for it came, I don't know, but I think sometimes intrinsically, we have these things that just draw us to it. And I think for me, music was one of them. I think I just grew up around it, and so when I started using virtual DJ, I just felt so drawn to it. So I was doing that on the computer, and then the small board we would plug in, and then you could use the board through virtual DJ. So we were bringing it to all the parties now. We were bringing it at our friend's house. And then when I went to college, a buddy of mine was a rapper. And so I went to the University of Toledo my first semester up in Ohio. And he was a rapper. He was an upperclassman. So I'm this young cat just walking around, and I'm with the older guys, because he's doing shows. They're in the clubs, and he had a DJ with him. And so now I'm this freshman in college. I would go out and I would see DJs, but now it's part of my life. So I'm going out. We're in the DJ booth. We're hanging out, and I'm like, dang, this is so cool. This is sweet. So I started getting interested in it. So fast forward, I transferred to another college, and I started working in the radio station, and I lived on campus, and I started, just kind of messing around with it in my dorm room. My roommates, they were tired of me. I had this little Bose speaker I was always practicing. And then one of my neighbors also DJ'd, so I would go over there and we'd hang out. And then I would do everything on campus. So I did all the events on campus. I would DJ in the lunchroom, for everybody. My friends would walk in the hell are you doing? I'm DJing in the lunchroom today. I thought it was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how I got started. And then, man, there's so many moving parts. And my dad bought me my first board, and I started doing that. And my first gig, my roommates were bouncers at this bar called Gasworks in Columbus. And, so they would get us in, once again, I'm somewhere I'm not supposed to be. Yeah. I just always find a way to get into these places. But, so I would get in with them, and I would bug the manager every week, hey man, you guys need a DJ? You need a DJ? Cause they were just doing, the system they had on the computer. And he's like, we're not doing DJs yet. I'm like, all right, every week, what's up, man? Showing my face. That's another thing too, as a DJ, you got to show your face.
Yeah, super important.
A lot of people, they just go in expecting, man, I want a DJ here. And people are we don't have any idea who you are, so it's building that relationship. And I was there every week. I was buying drinks. I was always friendly, never disrespectful. And then one week he comes up, taps me on my shoulder. He's like, I think we want to start doing DJs on Thursdays. Nice. And it took off from there, because I went to a small school. Everybody was coming in, and I'm their classmate, and I'm DJing. So in this small population of people, they're like, yo, that's our guy. And he's the DJ. And because there's obviously other schools, Ohio State. And so now I'm building my, my base with my small school. And then I'm building it along with, these other places. So, we did Thursdays, they popped off. And then I start working at another bar. So this bar was actually, the biggest, like one of the biggest bars at Ohio State's campus. And I was in there one night after a track meet, and I had drunkenly tweeted out like, this place should let me DJ here sometimes, like, just joking around.
Yeah.
So the guy who actually now has like been my best friend for like the past 10, 12 years, my mentor, he taught me how to DJ. He DMs me back and says, hey, we're actually looking for more DJs. Nice. I was like, I woke up, I'm like, no way. I'm like, no way. And so I DM him back. I was like, hey man, like I would love to come in. I'm going to be honest. I just started. I don't want to say I know what I'm doing, because where I was at was like a bar, which I could get away with, like, just kind of having fun.
Yeah.
But this was like a nightclub on campus. I'm talking football players are coming in, basketball players lined up. It's ran like a nightclub. So I'm like, I don't want to mess this up. Sure. So he tells me, he's like, come in the next week. He's like, I'll put you and some friends on a list, and, you can kind of just hang out. I'm like, sweet. Man, when I tell you, I thought I was like at the Met Gala walking up that line, like, yeah, I'm on the list. Like, me and my boys are walking in. They're like, man, this is so cool. I'm like, yeah, hang around, stick with me. I'm like, I got you. And from that point, man, I never left the DJ booth. Like when I tell you, after every track meet, every Saturday night that we would go out, my friends, they're like, come hang with us. I'm like, nah, I want to be in this booth. Like I want to watch this guy do what he's doing. Then eventually he let me get on the mic. So now I guess I started out emceeing, which I'm glad I did, because that's a huge skill, like, to develop as a DJ too. Absolutely. But so he was DJing and I was emceeing, shouting out birthdays. I'm on top of the stage. I'm like, and then I got confident. I'm like, hey, pause the music. And he's looking at me like, hold on, you're the rookie. I'm the OG here. I'm like, just trust me, pause it. He'd pause it. I'm like, Ohio State, how you feeling tonight? I'm like, if you're like with your friends, like make some, and then like, I'm like, drop it. And then he would drop it and he's like, dude, that was sweet. I'm like, I told you so. That's kind of how I got my start, man. Just like I said, just being, just taking those chances and, making sure like that I took it serious and not just being like glamorized by just being in the situation. So,
yeah, absolutely. A couple of key points there were taking chances, right?
Yeah.
You put yourself out there, and that's one thing that I feel like it's being lost with the younger generation. Not to age myself, but I feel like it's being lost with the younger generation. And in the defense of the younger generation, it's also, there's cameras everywhere, right? So you can, previous generations, you can do something silly and you won't necessarily be on video. With the younger generation, there's a high probability that you're
everything's
on video.
filmed.
Everything.
Right, and there's a timestamp for everything. Right, exactly. Everything's timestamped. So that's really powerful. You just throwing that tweet out. Showing your face, planting those seeds, watering those seeds in those places that you're trying to manifest an opportunity in, right?
Yeah.
And versus looking at things in a microwavable way, right? And saying like, oh, if it doesn't happen, man, screw those people, forget them, type of thing, right? No.
Yeah. Building
Building those relationships and making sure that, your face is seen and that people know that you're a part of the community, right?
Yeah.
And you're not just here, snake oil salesman, right? Here to get a quick gig and be out, right? That's super
you got to stay
important.
there.
Yeah, I think the art of it has been, I don't want to be like an old DJ. So they don't even know how to DJ anymore. I think like not so much the art, but like the love. I think people are falling in love with the look of DJing.
Yes.
And it's like anything, kids grow up. I want to be a basketball player.
Sure.
Well, why? Because they got a shoe and they travel and they're famous and they have jerseys. And then you have some kids that are like, no, I purely love the game.
Right.
And that is what's always going to get you over, is like when you can keep that love for something. I mean, and like I said, you can apply that to anything. If you think about being in a relationship with a person, if you're only attracted to their physical and not actually who they are, that relationship eventually is going to fall apart. The same thing, if you're only attracted to DJing because you're in the clubs or you get a bar tab or all the girls, and it's
exactly.
Eventually like the girls are going to get older, they're going to get married, you're going to become an alcoholic, you know what I'm saying? And like, you're going to get older and you're going to have to find a way to evolve. So it's like, for me, I like, there's times where, like I said, I'll be in a bad mood, but as soon as I get behind those decks, I'm like, like,
I'm home.
yeah, I remember why I started, because there's been times I'm like, do I love DJing? And it's like, but once I get back on those decks, I'm like, nah, yeah, I love this. Like, it's fun. So I always tell people, like, you got to really like want to do it, and you got to respect the art of it. You got to put the time in. People that come to me like, I want to learn how to DJ. I'm like, okay, are you ready to sacrifice for 10 years?
Right.
And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, if you like, like, I want to get to where you're at. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, because if you do, like, you're gonna have to sacrifice. I've been doing it for 12 years, and people. I had a buddy of mine. He's like, man, he's like, you live a bougie lifestyle. He's like, you got all these gigs. I'm just like, dude, if only you knew what I've gone through to get to this point. I'm like, I'm just now getting here. You're just now seeing. I'm a 12-year overnight success.
Yeah, man.
you know, so.
And you said it earlier, right? You said like your friends on Saturday night, your friends are telling you, hey man, let's hang out, let's go do this. And no, man, I want to go see, I want to be in that booth.
Yeah.
I want to see what kind of skills I can incorporate into my repertoire from this DJ, right? And that's the magic right there, right? Because at the end of the day, a lot of times, you know, to be successful, it's a lonely journey, right? You might have your friends here and your friends there, or you might be in a public space, like for example, DJing or a rapper, artist. But many times people don't see what you're doing behind the scenes when no one's watching, right? You're constantly sharpening your craft and working on being the best version of yourself. So when all those eyes are on you, it's looking effortless. Yep. But there's nothing effortless about it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the gigs should be the easy part.
Right.
It's just like, if you're a football player, basketball player, like the game should be just like almost like at this point, hey, we're just doing what we've been doing all week. Yep. You know, the book I'm reading actually, there's a quote. It said, "Chance favors the prepared mind," and I love that quote because, you know, people look at you and like, oh, you're lucky. I'm like, no, I just prepared. And when my opportunity met my preparation, to you, it looked like I got lucky. Right. But to me, I have been building and building and practicing. So when I got here and somebody was like, hey, do you want to host for Ohio State? I'm like, yeah. Like, and I felt prepared for it because I had been working on it. Now, had I not been ready, I'm like, I don't know. Like, and I would have missed a big opportunity. So absolutely. Preparation is key, man. Like the practicing and that's even as I got older, like I told myself, I'm like, we got to start practicing again. You know, you can't just depend on your skill set. Like, yeah, you've been doing it for a long time, but I'm like, you got to keep, you know, making mixes and downloading and seeing how different things sound so that when you do the gigs, like you said, it's effortlessly and you're not like searching for songs. Like when I do a wedding, I'm like, oh yeah, I already know, like, well, I've done 100, 150 plus.
You already know what works.
I know what works. I know what doesn't. I know where to take it. I know like where I need to go because I've done it. You know, but if I didn't practice or if I didn't put that time in, then, you know, things could go south fast. And things do go south fast. You know, a microphone might go out or it might start screeching or there's feedback or, you know, the bride's freaking out. And it's like, you don't know how to handle those situations unless you've been in them. Yeah. So you have to put yourself in situations. You have to put yourself out there to fail, to learn, to experience. Like, you know, when I first did my first wedding, I was like, man, I'm scared. Like, this is someone's big day. Right. But I'm like, how do we figure out how to handle a big day? Well, we got to start with one of them. Yep. And then one turns into 5, and then the 20. And then by the time you do 50, you're like, okay, like, I think I got this. Like, you know, and it just starts to get better and you build a confidence with it. So, yeah.
That's phenomenal insight. And it's funny you say, because I was just thinking, I'm like, man, as a DJ, as a musician in general, you're creating the soundtrack to the most important moments of people's lives.
It's crazy.
So even the payment that you receive for it, the monetary payment that you receive, it doesn't even equate to the value that you provide people, right? So, you know, that's powerful. And being prepared for the moments, right? Like you said, like luck, like, oh, you're so lucky. I
hate that. I hate that word.
Luck doesn't exist if you're not prepared. You know, you have to be prepared in some way, shape, or form in order to receive that luck and to manifest that into success, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But just to change course here, Kenden, can you talk to us about your journey, your love? You know, why have you chosen to pursue a career in DJing?
So, first of all, I got into this because of my best friend about 3 years ago. I'm a part of a fraternity right now, so that's a very big thing, especially nowadays. Everyone wants to become a DJ. Okay. You know, that's like it's a huge like stereotype now. Like everywhere I go, especially like I'll visit a couple other friends in other like schools and all that. It's just everyone wants to become a DJ. So when I say, oh, I'm a DJ, everyone's like, oh, isn't like everyone else doing that? I'm like, yeah,
Especially
but, like,
Miami.
especially in Miami. Miami's super, super competitive when it comes to DJing.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. You know, this is like the dance capital of the world, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of got into it. He showed me a couple house songs, and it's funny because a couple years before that, I was listening to house music, especially now because I do house, and I didn't know what it was. So now when I listen back to it, I'm like, damn, like I was listening to that song and I was listening to this track, and you know, at the end of the day, it's like a really full circle thing. But he kind of put me on from there, and listening to all this dance music, I'm like, okay, I want to start like DJing. I want to start like trying to replicate that. I want to like, you know, have fun with it. You know, from there, I kept doing it almost every weekend. I would always go to his house. He had a little DJ board, like a $50 DJ board you got on Amazon with like the disco lights on it and all that. And from there, I was just like, okay, I really have a passion for this. Like I love playing music out to people, and I love the whole experience of it. And from there, I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it. You know, I started teaching myself, looking at YouTube tutorials,
Yep.
A bunch of informational videos about it, and yeah, you know, basically 2 years ago, I started producing music as well. So that's a whole nother.
That's huge, man. Congrats.
That's a whole nother thing, man. Like producing music is what gets you past the local area.
Yep.
And you know, I've been doing it for 2 years. I'd say I've been improving on it, you know, but it's a tough thing. It's a tough thing. But yeah, I basically give it to my best friend for helping me, and I'm so grateful for that.
So, well, like, what would you say, I guess, made you want to get into it? Just kind of being around it and just seeing, like, and just kind of catching the vibe from it? You're like, man, that's something like,
Yeah,
I like.
100%. And, you know, I'm around it all the time. Like, I always go to, like, Club Space or, like, I'm out there almost every weekend, you know.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about Club Space, I love that place is because you don't know who you meet there. Because everyone goes to Club Space. So literally the other day, I was talking to some guy that he would do like Bitcoin, and he has like millions of dollars in Bitcoin or something crazy. And I'm like, what are you doing out here? Like, I see him at like 7 o'clock in the morning, like getting drunk, like as well, you know. So it was pretty funny, and you know, it's also a good place to get connections too. I have a really, really close connection with James Hype. I don't know if you guys know. James Hype.
Nice.
So
Heard of him.
No, I have a pretty close relationship. I'm like a huge fan of him. He's probably the reason why I DJ as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like looking at like his videos back in the day, like of him doing some crazy tricks and all that. Like I love the energy of it.
Have you seen his story about how, like, I think he quit his job and like
he moved to Ibiza, actually he was in Ibiza for a while.
Yeah,
Slept on the beach and everything. Yeah,
It's powerful.
That's what I'm saying. People don't, like, they think he just, like, if you just see Instagram, you're like, man, this dude came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like 8 years ago, I literally was like, I moved with nothing, like nothing. And like, he's, I went for it.
It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because he basically had to, in a sense, die, right? In a sense, kill
His old
whole
self.
life. Yeah, kill his old self to become his new self.
Yeah. How'd that relationship stem?
So I well, first of all, I went to go see him at EDC Orlando 2 years ago. From there, I'm front row for everything when it comes to him. You know, people kind of clown me for it, but I use it, like, I think of it as a connection.
Absolutely.
So like every time he comes to play at Club Space or like other places in Miami, like he'll invite me upstage, like backstage.
Wow. That's
Like,
actually huge.
So every time he's playing, I'll be there like watching him, and especially him, he's a good person to watch because he's always doing something like new with his stuff. It's not like the same thing, because I know a bunch of DJs do like the same, like, you know, routine over and over. He's always doing something, like spicing it up.
Exploring.
So exactly. So it's like, it's good to see. Like, I'm literally there for 8 hours straight when he's playing at Club Space, just staring what he's doing. You know, and I feel like it's
So
really
you gotta produce a song and give it to him.
That's
Yes.
what, yeah.
There you go.
That's what I'm trying to do. Also, Medusa as well.
Love Medusa.
Medusa came to Club Space, and he's really close with James Hype as well. And he invited me backstage as well. And I was talking to him about like producing. I'm like, what do you do? Like, what's something that, you know, inspires you and all that? And he gave me like really good information. You know,
You're doing better than I was at that age.
No, you know, it's interesting because you just shared a gem, right? Which is you supported these individuals. You made sure that you were front and center.
Yep.
Every time. And naturally, what do people love? People love when someone is supporting them, giving them energy, especially when you're on stage, right? You know, as an artist, right, as a DJ, sometimes you might be tired. Sometimes you might, you know, you had a bad day. You got into a fight with your significant other, you know, and you whether you're a self-motivating or not, you need to tap into some kind of energy,
Yep.
you know. And I'm sure when you guys are DJing, you're looking into the crowd and you're who's having the best time.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna DJ for this person right here,
Yep.
right? And make sure, as long as this person right here is dancing, is smiling, is laughing, is acknowledging the mixes, then okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. And and basically what he did is he anchored his sets
Yeah.
towards your energy,
Yeah.
right? And then as a gift, he's giving a gift back to you, right? The gift you gave him was the energy. He's giving a gift back to you. Hey, let me give you a peek behind the veil,
Yeah.
right? And that's an amazing gem right there. And that's one thing that a lot of people, it'll go over their head like a cumulonimbus cloud. You know, the fact that sometimes you have to support in order to be supported,
Yep.
eventually be supported.
Oh yeah, I learned that. So when I moved here, I had to come back to that conclusion. You know, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna move to Miami and I'm gonna try to get some gigs, and I was staying in the house, and it's one thing to be confident in your comfortability. Like in Columbus, oh man, I'm telling you, if you guys came to Columbus with me, we're gonna have a good time.
Yeah,
Like
right.
we are gonna go wherever. Like, you know, I know people, and then I came here and I was like, ooh, that confidence shrunk because I'm in a new place.
Environment.
I was like, dude, you gotta go just support people. Like
Yeah.
find DJs that you like and just go hang out or just go say
Yeah.
what's up or buy them a drink or just something like that. And as soon as I start to do that, like just, hey, what's up? My name's Leek. I don't want anything. I'm just nice to meet you. I also DJ. I just moved here from Ohio. Oh, nice to
Yeah.
meet you. That was it. And then I start going to their gigs because, you know, here I didn't have gigs yet. I was going back. I'm flying back and forth between Ohio and different states. So, you know, if it's like a Thursday and a DJ I met was playing, yeah, I'll go pop out, say what's up, you know, or Friday or Tuesday, because Miami, there's always something going
Yeah.
on.
Every day of the week.
Yeah.
Every day.
Facts.
And it's like when people, I mean, time is like one of the best gifts we have. So like when people see that you took your valuable time to come and see them, not just once, but like over, you know, various amounts of times, like they got it, like they respect that, you know, like they, you know, they appreciate that. But it's got to be for the right reasons. Like people can always see through your BS. Like,
yeah.
you know, it's one thing to go out and support, and it's another to go out and be like, so how do I get in here?
Right.
Like you're using them basically.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you
like,
don't want to do that.
like,
You don't.
can you introduce me to the manager? Like, I can't stand that stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you can tell people are just supporting you just because they're trying to use you to get an end. It's
Exactly.
like,
Something from you.
Yeah.
You got to be
like-
there for them basically.
exactly. Yeah.
100%. And people feel it, right? They can tap into the frequency. You know, it's humans, like, what is it? 70% of our communication, it's nonverbal, right?
Yeah.
So we still, you know, even though some say that we're losing that to an extent, right, with the advances of technology, I feel like in a way we're actually honing in on that,
I agree.
right? Because we're yearning. All of us are actually yearning for human connection. Like even just these conversations we're having, we're talking like we just met today. We're talking like we've known each other, homies, right?
Yeah. Same frequency.
Yeah, it's just tapping into the same frequency. You know, it's wanting to give, wanting to learn. You know, and I think that that's something that's just it's perpetuating society as a whole. You know, we have to continue to have these types of conversations. You know, so that we can focus on what truly matters.
Yeah.
Keeps you sane.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, like, you know, nightlife, music, DJing in general, the beautiful thing about these conversations is that people they just see like, oh man, I'm sure you get all the girls, right? And you could get everybody in the club, right? And all that stuff, man, it's exciting, but it's waning, right? And it's not, like you said earlier, it's not, if you're doing it only for those reasons, you will fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
You know,
Not
you have
succeed.
to really tap into, why am I doing this? Like, is this something that's coursing through my veins? Like, do
Yep.
I truly love this? Is this part of my very essence? Do I love this as much as I love breathing? You know, as much as I love eating, right? Is this something that if I don't do it, you know, am I going to be a happy person? You know, and if you're checking all those boxes, that's something that you just have to continue to pursue.
I had a corporate. So like when I turned 30, I was like, okay, I need to grow up a little bit. I'm like, I don't want to be this 30-year-old DJ, you know, whatever. And I went and got a job, and it was actually a really good job, like good salary and everything. And, you know, my bosses, like, they really rocked with me. Like I was hitting my quota. I was new. So it was like, dang, like this dude came in here and it's like, you know, it's just killing it. But man, like when I tell you I'd be in that office, I'm like, man, I can do this job well, but I'm like, I don't want to be here every day. Like I couldn't wait to leave. Like just literally sitting in there on my chair, just on the computer. And I'm like, this is easy. All I gotta do is email people back and like be cordial and be prompt about how people are like, man, wow, thanks for getting back to me so quick. I'm like, well, what else would I be doing? I'm here in the office. Right. So like, I was doing I was doing my job well because I had taken like what I learned from DJing and have like, you got to go get it. So like, this was a sales job. So yeah, I email quick or I'm on phone calls quick or I'm like, let me figure that out for you really quick. Like, so my work ethic, but I was like, man, like I was starting to do that job more than I was DJing. And eventually I went back to my boss and I was just like, yeah, I can't be here anymore. Right. I was like, I think I'm going to move to Miami. And they're all like, what?
That's a bold move right there.
I literally, quick story. I have a lot of stories, but quick story. So I was on a trip here in Miami with some friends of mine on April 21st. And we just came down here just to kick it, have some fun. I was staying in Brickell at this, I think it was like the W. I think they do half like, people live there, half is like Airbnb. So I was staying, on this, in this nice place and I'm out on the balcony and I'm just standing next to my dude. I'm like, bro, I just love this place. I love Miami. Like, I was like, I don't know what it is about it. I was like, but I mean, if you're standing on a balcony on like the 20th floor, like, you're going to love it. Feeling it. And so, I was like, I think I'm going to move here. So I go back to Ohio and two of my coworkers who I talked to about everything. I was like, guys, I think I'm going to quit. And I don't think I'm going to be in Ohio next year. And they're like, really? I was like, I feel it. I was like, I'm never going to quit and stay in Columbus. Like, I genuinely don't think I'm going to be in Ohio. So I quit my job. It was, it was very cordial. And then I just started planning. So I'm on Facebook and I'm looking at my Facebook memories and I see on April 21st, it was when my roommate and I moved in. I was like, oh, nice. Look, it's been a year. But then there's another memory. It was me and a picture of that balcony. The same day I was on that balcony, ended up being a year later, the same day I got my keys to my apartment. Oh, man. And I had no idea.
Serendipity.
No way.
And the apartment that I now live in is the apartment that was across the street from the friends I was visiting.
Wow.
Kid you not.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing when life materializes that way.
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Right? And
he's got the manifest shirt on.
Yeah, man.
Dude, there's a reason why I wore it.
Yeah, we think that, I don't know. As time passes, I don't believe in any coincidences, man. Mm-mm. They're only coincidences if you don't tap in and find the reason why those things are happening, right? And that's an amazing story.
I mean, if I never met him, I wouldn't be here.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Who knows where this can go, right? And then you guys are both DJs, you guys met each other. You don't know where that can go, right? So it's amazing. I have a quick question for you guys. Like, being DJs, right? And at your point in your career, like what are some common misconceptions that you might want to air out?
You want me to go first?
You go first.
That we know every song. That people think you know every song, especially now when like 50 million new people are artists. Same thing with DJing. Everybody wants to be a singer or a rapper or whatever it may be because now you can like easily upload stuff to Spotify, YouTube, TikTok. I don't know every song. I don't know every artist. The girls part is always funny. You must get all the girls. It's
that's every time.
That's not at least not the girls you want. That's not entirely true. What other misconceptions? That you're like filthy rich. Everyone thinks like you're rich because you're in these clubs and places. But people don't understand like clubs don't really pay that well. It is a grind. It looks like flashy. But the real money is like in corporate and weddings, stuff like that, and planning your own parties too. Like, we can talk about that. I started doing my own party in Columbus, and I make way more than like when I was doing clubs because I told the bar, I'm like, I'm gonna plan it, I'm gonna market it, and I want a percentage of your bar. And they're like, okay. Yeah. And they're making record sales, so they have no problem with giving me a percentage because I'm also helping their bar. Which anytime I throw a party, I'm like, my goal is. You can ask any manager I work with, how are sales? How are the numbers? Like, how do we do? And it's like one thing I learned from my mentor, when I was DJing, I'm like, man, we had a killer night tonight. I'm like, everyone was dancing, having a good time. He's like, yeah, but you didn't send anybody to the bar.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you didn't take them on a journey. You just had them pumping all night. It's like, and I'm like, oh, this is like an art. Yes. Like DJing is an art. It's a skill. Like you have to take people on a journey. Like, you might play something that this person might not like, but okay, that's a chance for them to go maybe grab a drink, or you might slow it down. Like, it's just like taking people on that ride. And so, I've learned now how to take people on that journey and things like that. I don't know. I think that's all the misconceptions I have. What do you have?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, for the tickets part, or like the drinks and all that stuff, and getting paid in general, when I first started out, I wouldn't get paid. I mean, I'm sure that's for everyone. Like, they would pay me like in drink tickets, which is actually pretty funny at the time. But a lot of misconceptions, like, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know if I have many. You kind of stated them all, to be honest with you. But a lot of it's the girls, the money, but they're completely wrong about it, and I don't really got much on it.
Yeah.
No, and that's just to touch on what you were saying, being an entrepreneur, right? Because a lot of times folks say like, if you're an artist, it's like that starving artist misconception, right? I'm not sure. I forgot who came up with that, but the gentleman who came up with the starving artist misconception, he was actually wealthy. So I believe it was in a couple hundred years ago in France that adage started. Don't quote me on that one, but I know for sure he was actually a wealthy individual, and he came up with that starving artist thing. So to be able to meld your passion and also make a living from it, that's extremely important, right? And you just hit us with a gem there, Leek. Saying, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more of an entrepreneurial approach, and I'm going to start curating my own night, my own vibe. Yep. So people know when Leek says, okay, next Thursday, I have a party going, they know what kind of feeling they're going to get. There's going to be something new, but they know that feeling that they're going to get. They know the quality is going to be there. Yep. And it's going to be something worth them investing their time in.
And a reason I had, I don't want to say I had to do it, I wanted to start doing it, is because where I was at in Ohio, it was getting to a point where I was DJing to fit the mold of what the venue wanted. And which, understandable, they're paying the bills, they're keeping the lights on. My job is to come, do what they want. But, my friends would come out and they'd be like, man, like, why you got to play this or that? And I'm like, well, I got to kind of stick to the format. So I was like, you know what? I want to start throwing my own parties to where, like you said, I set the vibe. So, like, I do this event in Ohio called Yours Truly, and it's an R&B event. And people have so much fun. Like, I come out, we play the throwback R&B, is like the sing-along stuff, like just like the fun, sexy stuff. And it's just a vibe. Like, you don't have to worry about bottle service. Like, everyone's dancing. Like, it's not a too cool for school kind of event. And, like, we just keep it real fun. And I direct it. I get to, the marketing. I get to hire the DJs. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm in charge of this now. Like, and, we partner with Red Bull, and, we have these specialty drinks that we do. And I'm like, man, this is what I want to do. I want to create the vibe instead of have to fit the mold, And I mean, obviously I do that with like weddings and like corporate events, but being able to do both is like a blessing, so.
Yeah, that's a gem right there. That's a gem. Another question for you guys. Where do you see two-part question. Where do you see the DJing game going in the next 3 to 5 years? And also, are there any trends that you're noticing that are developing as far as your craft is concerned?
Oh, you take that one.
So, especially in the next 3 to 5 years, especially coming up with all this technology, to become a DJ, you're not only becoming just a DJ, you have to be everything in general. Like, you have to be a person that deals with social media. You have to do graphic design for your stuff, like when you post something. And just like, you have to be like jack of all trades.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty much what it is. And I feel like, especially now in this age with technology and all this, you have to do that in order to succeed. Because if you're not doing that, you're not going to go anywhere. Like, it's something that, and it's funny because people always think, oh, this must be the most fun job. You're doing this, you're just partying all weekend. And I'm like, no. And half the time I'm out there like at home, like making music or like thinking of something, what to post, and especially nowadays, it's everyone's attention span is very short.
Absolutely.
Super, super short.
Yeah.
So there's something called the 3-second rule. So you have to get someone's attention in 3 seconds. So every video that I try to do, at least I always have to try to get a good hook,
Yep.
and get them like that. And then you can start talking about what you're all about, you know? But another thing is also AI. AI is very, very important right now. I always use, especially ChatGPT, whenever I want to come up with something like with content and all that. I always ask ChatGPT, like, oh, what can I do with this? How can I do this? And I can ask them pretty much anything, especially in music production. I could be like, oh, I'm confused on this part. What should I do to help it be better? You know, and it's something that people can definitely utilize in the next 3 to 5 years. And it's going to be very, very competitive, I feel like. 100%.
Phenomenal.
I think like people get mad at evolution, and I don't understand why. Like you hear old DJs say, all these DJs, you know, they have the sync button and they have this. And it's like, yeah, but imagine like when turntablists had to deal with Scratch Live coming out with computers. Oh, these DJs got computers and they don't have to search for records. And it's the same thing, like as a person, I'm sure you guys have all dealt with this. Like when you're trying to grow, your friends are like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Like they get mad at your evolution. Yeah. Oh, you've changed. Well, yeah, I would hope so. Like I don't want to be the same person I was at 19, 25 and like 28. Like you should constantly be growing. Like, and the world is growing faster than ever. And it's like people get upset about that. It's like, well, you can be upset or you can get with it because the world, whether you're here or not, is going to spin. And it's been spinning for longer than your brain can even fathom. It's going to do the same thing. The sun does the same thing every day. It rises. And the world's going to keep moving. So it's like you said, you got to be like water. You got to flow with it. And it's like, you have to adjust. And when I first started, you know, I was big into like hip hop and I knew pop stuff. But when EDM came on the scene, I didn't like it. I was like, what is this? Like this electronic techno. Like we called it techno. Like I hate techno. No. And eventually I was like, dude, if you want to grow and expand and get into different venues, you're going to need to learn how to play house music. Yeah. And so I started hanging out with my friends who played house or asking them for suggestions and like listening and stuff. And then I got, you know, versed enough well in it to where if I played a club, I could play hip hop, I could play pop, and I could play a little bit of house if I needed to take it there. And then when I moved to Miami, it's like, okay, well, if I want to keep growing, I have to learn how to play Afro house. I need to learn Latin, not even just learn Latin music. I need to learn how to speak Spanish. Like
it's a whole other thing.
Like I need to, my evolution needs to continue if I want my world to continue to, you know, grow as well.
Yeah, broaden your horizons.
So I think that DJing is going to keep evolving with new technologies and sounds and how people do people are hosting parties on YouTube and people are watching them in their living room and like having a blast.
Yeah.
So even if you physically can't host an event, you can be in your living room and you can get like, imagine you post a video and you get 200,000 people to watch it. You just now like accelerated yourself and you've grown your platform even quicker because like of the power of the internet. Imagine in 2010, you know, you ask a DJ like, how would you like to have 200,000 people listen to your DJ set? They'd be like, that sounds amazing. Okay, well then put it on YouTube. It's like you can't be mad at the evolution of how things are going. Like you just have to adapt, be flexible, and like learn it and get good at it. Same thing with AI. So
absolutely, yeah, incorporating all the tools, and that's great that you say that because you definitely have to be a jack of all trades, and you have to be able to evolve, right? Yep. And all as the tools start becoming available, you know, being on that cutting edge, making sure that you're incorporating those tools, you know, so that you don't become that pillar of salt that we spoke about earlier. Yep. Another question for you guys, like if you can open your mind's eye and manifest, what would be your dream collaboration? What would be your perfect moment, ideal situation, experience?
Ooh, you got yours?
I got mine already.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Talking about like more of like a goal, you mean? Is that what it is?
Just a goal. Like if you can close your eyes and open your eyes,
like you made it moment.
You're DJing in a certain place, or you're collaborating. You're in the studio with a certain person. You know, just giving you an opportunity to visualize and be a visionary in your own story. Yeah,
definitely something that I'd be looking forward to is any part of a festival, like my first festival set. That's something that I've just been like thinking about all the time, and it's something that pushes me. You know, just thinking about like going like having like an intro, like just having people like be excited to see you is just something that's just like crazy to me. And you know, just the amount of nerves, like I want to have the nerves, like it's just something that's like, I don't know, I need to have that, and you know, it's something that pushes me a lot. And either there, and another collaboration that I would like to do, either with Hugel is a big guy. He's something that's really pushed the gate between Latin music and house music.
Oh yeah,
especially in the last couple of years, and that's something what I want to do as well. So it's something that, you know, it'd be cool to see. You know, really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Pretty
Okay,
cool.
so EDC
EDC.
with Hugel.
yeah. I gotta stay cool with this guy, man. He's gonna. I'm gonna be backstage with you. Like, I know that guy.
Yes, sir.
I was on his podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's always a cool thing to see, though, man. Like, I'm one of those guys. Like, man, I hope you become bigger than I ever could be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that stuff is so cool. Like, when you can meet someone or see someone, and you know, hopefully anything that we pour into you, you can take it and run with it. And like, not say like we had a part in your journey, but like if we could be like a small dose of like helping you, like I think that stuff is so cool, man. And I always tell any younger DJ, I'm like, hey, I hope whatever I can help you with or show you, like you take it and amplify it and multiply it. You know, that's what my friends and my mentors, you know, did for me. I think for me now that I'm just like a little bit older, I don't know if I have like a golden moment. I've kind of come to this conclusion that being at the top of the mountain is fun for the view for a quick, brief moment. And then you're like, okay, well, now what? It's time to go back down. So I think for me, I'm just really enjoying the climb, and I love to climb now. It's just like the everyday, like, okay, how can I be like 1% better, or what content can I make today that's going to help me get a little bit more well-known. And I don't know, I think for me, like I think the fact that I just get to do what I love is already the peak, because a lot of people don't. And I get paid to play music that I didn't even make. I'm like, all right, sweet.
That's dope.
I've done like a lot of cool stuff, you know, that younger me would have been like, wait, we're doing what? You know, so, I mean, if I had to pick a moment, I don't even know, maybe like a finals game or like a Super Bowl or something like that. Like, I think that'd be pretty cool. I've done a couple sports championships, which is fun, but yeah, I'm not like a producer though, so it's like kind of different for me. Like, I think for me, it's just anytime I get to, you know, like I said, do someone's wedding or event and they come up to me and they're like, man, like, thank you so much. You know, I think those moments for me are all golden. So sorry to kind of be
No, of course. Everyone has their own thing. You know?
And it's actually super valuable what you're saying, because, you know, one thing that, you know, my own journey, you know, being a musician and touring and traveling through so many countries, when it was on the tail end of it, and I was ready to start reinventing myself and changing my life, I realized that I didn't appreciate, as much as I could have, I didn't appreciate the journey itself. It was always like, okay, when I get to this place, right, it's going to be amazing. But looking back on it, I'm like, oh man, like traveling to the Middle East, right? Like performing in Saudi Arabia, for example, like just the journey to get to Saudi Arabia, filling out the paperwork, you know, rehearsing the set, you know, making changes, realizing, okay, 2 of the members can't make it. Now we have to create a whole set with 3 people, and when we've been working with 5 people for the past 5 years. You know, just all of those ins and outs and nuances and stops and starts. Like, those were the most valuable experiences that I had in my personal journey. So I can really relate with what you're saying. It's like incrementally getting better every single day, and then before you know it, you look back and you're like, wow, how far have I gone, right? And at the same time, melding that with the way that you're looking at things, you know, being younger, and saying like, okay, anchoring your goals with a magic moment, you know, when you can realize, okay, I've reached that place that I want to reach, right? I've become that person that I want to become, you know. So I think it's really important to have a goal at this, you know, virtuous, somewhat unattainable goal, but at the same time being grounded and saying like, okay, every single day we're going to get better. Every single day we're going to get better.
I think it's fun to have like those young goals like Will Smith is like one of my favorite guys to listen to. I know he slapped Chris Rock, but he was saying something. He's like, I want people to get everything that they think that they want so that they can see like that they don't actually want it.
Oh, man.
And he's like, I want you to get as rich as possible you can. He's like, date as all the women you can, like travel all the places you can so you can see that it truly won't make you happy. He's like, and that's like kind of what happened for him. So as I've gotten older, I think my goals have shifted from like those kind of things to more like I want to make enough money to where I can buy a nice house for my family to come and visit, or my friends can come and visit, or, you know, my sister's getting married. I can be like, hey sis, here's 10 grand. Like, don't worry about like your venue, like stuff like that to me now has become my goal. Or my dad wants a new car and I'm like, all right, dad, like let's go pick it out. Like now those are kind of like why I'm like grinding to go harder. And I think it comes with age. You know, some people, they have it at a younger age, you know, they come from different, you know, backgrounds or different situations. But I think as I've gotten older, like at first that was my goal, is like to be known and, you know, to be on that stage. And don't get me wrong, it's cool, but it's so quick. Like it goes so fast. It's like, I think about when you're at an amusement park and you're about to go on this roller coaster and you're in line for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, but that's like the best conversation you have with your friends, or, you know, you see a goofy moment and the anticipation's, you know, you're getting closer and closer. You're like, oh, we're about, like, you know, we're about to be on the ride, and then the ride happens. And it's how fast? I mean, how long are roller coasters? Like 2 minutes tops.
Quick.
It's a quick ride. And I'm sure you can attest to this. Like one day I'm gonna look back, you're gonna look back, and you're like, dang, like 20 years went by fast. I mean,
super fast, man.
People ask me like, how long you been DJing? I'm like 12 years. I'm like, it feels like I was on campus like 50 years ago passing out flyers to get people to come to my Thursday night, which they didn't. It was terrible. But it's like it's going so fast. And, you know, I think, like I said, like my goals now have changed from, you know, the being well known and stuff like that, which, like I said, have those goals. I think as you grow older, it changes. But yeah, for me, it's just more, I just want my life to be what I envision it as through DJing. Like DJing is now just the vehicle. So if I can make this vehicle the best that it can be, then my life can be the best that it can be, because I poured into this and now it's pouring back out. So
absolutely. And that phenomenal. That actually leads me to my final question is giving back. Like, how important to you is, and I know we touched on it, you know, with the James Hype situation, right? Like, how important to you is it to give back?
It's important. I'm a big story guy and a big quote guy. So there's a quote that says, "The world gives to givers and takes from takers." And I love that quote because, like, when you give, like, it always comes back, but you have to do it like authentically. And like I said, I'm not a religious person, but there's a verse in the Bible that says, like, the Lord loves a cheerful giver. And I think that's so important to remember, because it's like, our blessings come from blessing other people. It's a cycle. Like, if you bless other people, like, authentically, like, you're going to get blessed. It may not come right back, reciprocate it. You know, I always tell people, like, if I do something for you, like, I don't need you to do something for me, because it's going to come back to me in some way, shape, or form that I don't have to worry about it. Yeah. So I think it's very important to give back. And I mean, if we're talking about the art of DJing or you know, being a musician, if I just am bitter and I don't do something like these podcasts, or if I don't teach, then I can't complain about things being how they are if I haven't, like, reached back and be like, hey, like, you're doing good, but here's how you should market. Here's how you should be a professional. Here's how you should book your rate. Here's the rate you should take. You know, DJs always get mad, like, oh, people are messing up their rates. Well, yeah, if I'm a college kid and someone wants to pay me $150 to come DJ and I'm trying to get my name out there, I'm probably going to take it. Like, I'm sorry. So instead of whining about it, pull them to the side and be like, hey, let's get you to a place to where you can charge $300, so that now I've not only elevated someone in the game, but now I've also kept the rate where it needs to be, because I've helped this person out. Yeah. And it's like a win-win, because now I don't have to get undercut. I've helped someone out. And then if I ever need you in a situation, now I've helped someone that I can depend on, because I've almost like trained them in a sense. So,
absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, you're feeding the ecosystem in every way, shape, or form, right?
Yeah.
And just to be before we touch on your answer, I just want to go back to something that you were saying. You were saying that as far as you know, most people they'll they want you to do well, but they don't want you to do better than them, right? And you really tapped into something when you said like, it's okay. It's very rare because I'm the same type of person when it comes to this. Like, it's very rare when you're okay with other people's success, and I think that brings a high level of a blessing, you know, for lack of a better term, right? That it just brings a lot of providence into your life when you're okay with people doing better than you, and you're okay with supporting people on their journey, right? Especially if it's a positive journey. Yep. You know, so I just wanted to kind of put a stamp on that because that's a very, very important trait to have, and I think that's a secret of success.
Yeah.
You know, because there's people that they're quote unquote successful, maybe monetarily successful, but emotionally, spiritually, they're not successful. They're actually poor, you know. So you're already displaying a level of wealth when it comes to your love for yourself and your love for humanity, and you know, more specifically your love for the game of DJing, right? Giving back, making sure that you know that you're passing on those gems, you know, not robbing anyone of their opportunity to, you know, to get that bump or that bruise, right? That lesson, that hard lesson.
Yeah, you gotta have those.
You know, but at the same time, just trying to make sure that you're saving them from making certain mistakes that are, you know, that they don't necessarily have to make. And then you're also feeding the ecosystem. You're feeding the community.
Yeah. I was calling my mentor all the time. I'd be at a wedding. I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going on. Like, the speaker's not working, or I don't know how to do this. And he's like, turn the camera around. He'd be like, do this, do this, do this. I'm like, dude, thank you so much. I'm like, all right, I'll talk to you later. Like, I called him. So, and even in my career now, I'll still call him. But it's like, I think being open to learning and understanding that you don't know it all, no matter like if I've been in it for 20 years, like there's stuff that I could be like, hey man, like I don't know how to, like, can you teach me better how to play house? You know, like there's gonna be tracks that, you know, it's like you have to always be willing to like learn and to be open to stuff. So
yeah,
absolutely.
No, definitely. Like I live by the saying, we're here to help each other, you know, especially in this competitive world that we're in DJing nowadays. You have to help someone and they'll help you back. You know, like we're here to work together, to come up together, you know, especially like the local DJs here in Miami. Whenever someone plays like a gig, all of us are out there. Like every single DJ that we know, we always help each other when it comes to like, oh, we'll come to your gig. Oh, it's on a Wednesday night. No, I'll go. Of course. Right. I'm out there, you know? And from that, you know, I feel like that pushes each other. Like we push each other, like we push ourselves, you know? Yeah. And yeah, you know, you just, by helping each other, you're only going to get better from there. Like it's only up.
Feeding the community.
Exactly.
That's another gem that you just pointed out. Feeding the community, making sure that you guys are supporting each other and you're rising together. Yeah. Right? Instead of, you know, one rising and then the crabs start coming.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of my closest friends, like he's a DJ as well. When you were talking about not letting people, like getting jealous of people getting better than you, he was like that with me at first, but now he's gone to the point where he's realized, he's like, I get why you were there to help me, and I'm there to support you. Yeah. You know, and
that's awesome.
You know, like seeing them, especially for me, seeing someone do better than me. Like I just had my friend play at Live. He played at Live, what was it, last year? He opened up for Cedric Gervais, and I was the first person there. Like I was right there in the front.
Should inspire you.
You know, and it was just like, it got me happy to see it.
I know we got to get out of here. Another quick story. I had a younger DJ. He like come to me, and it's fun being like the OG now because you're like, oh, like, you know, you want to ask me a question, but he's like, hey man, you know, I don't know how to feel about this. There's another, we all work at the same venue, and we have different dates and stuff like that. And he's like, I haven't headlined. He's like, I just been opening. He's like, but the guy that he brought in as well was starting to headline. And he was like, you know, I just don't kind of understand like what I'm doing. Like, you know, I'm starting to kind of feel like a little jealous. Like, how's he headlining? I was the one that brought him into this club and stuff like that. I was like, dude, you're focused on all the wrong things. I'm like, what you need to do is focus on how can you become the best opener that you can be and support your boy. I'm like, if you can't even like open up the best, then like, how can we trust you to headline the best? I'm like, you need to just focus on like your skill set and your actual DJ set, and then let that show the ownership or the managers that you can crush an opening set, and that might lead to you doing a headlining set. But if you're mad that your boy is getting a headlining set like that's not going to do anything for you. Like you're going to lose your relationship with him. And two, like you're not going to get any better because you're so focused on like, you're not headlining that your opening set is going to be so bad. And I think that's so cool that you went to go support your boy because like you said, you don't know what he went through to get to that spot or, you know, his situation. And you never know, like just supporting him, like what it can do for you too. Like he might be like, man, like they're asking me to come to Spain. Like, you want to go with me? Like, yeah, like cool. Like, let's do it. And, you know, you could go to Spain and you both get a gig or, you know, it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I just love when people support people, you know, just cause like it's out of love. So
yeah, it's powerful. And it's, you know, it's what both of the stories that you guys just told, it just reminds me of an adage that I constantly tell myself. It's like a mantra. I always say, don't block your blessings.
mm-hmm.
Don't block your blessings. You know, and ego, envy, jealousy, anger, sadness, you know, all those negative terms, those are easy ways for you to block your blessings. You know, so a lot of times we have to get out of our way, right? And as men, you know, we have egos, and sometimes you don't want people to know that, you know, that you don't know, right? So you stay quiet, and then you realize, and then you just keep not knowing, you know, instead of just opening yourself up, you know, and asking, hey man, how do you do that? Like, that's amazing. Like, you know, what song was that? Oh wow, man, that transition, you know, just putting yourself out there, opening yourself up. And for the wrong people, you know, the wrong people are going to, they're going to respond in a negative way, you know, or they're just going to kind of brush you off. You don't want those people in your life. Mm-hmm. The right people, they're going to immediately recognize that you're opening yourself up, and they're going to meet you halfway. You know, in most cases, the right people, they'll even go a little bit beyond that, meet you halfway. You know, if you give them 30%, they'll give you 70%. You know, so phenomenal stories that we've told today, and I feel like we've really touched on a lot of gems that can help a lot of people out. You know? So if you guys have any final thoughts, you know, I open it up to you. Anything you want to say or anything you want to plug? The floor is yours.
I don't know if I got much to say.
Nah, I mean, just, you know, to you and anyone else, you know, just in the pursuit of anything, you know, it's just time is what's going to be your best friend. You know, you just got to keep going and putting in the time and trusting the process. I mean, you said you've been doing it for 2 years.
Almost about to be 3 years now.
Yeah. I mean, look how far you've already come. Imagine like where you'll be in 5 to 10, you know, like I said, if you would have told year 2 me that at year 12, I'd be living in Miami and flying and stuff, I would have been like, no way. Like, that sounds so cool. And it's, you know, but it's because DJing has probably been the most consistent thing in my life that I've ever done. And like, I tell myself, I'm like, look how far you've come by being consistent in this one field. Imagine if you apply that to everything in your life. Like, how amazing, like, would your life be? So, you know, be consistent. But I think too, like, the thing that we forget, dude, have fun. Like, it's like one of the most fun jobs in the world. Like, do your work, be professional, things like that, work hard, but like, have fun with it, man. Like, you get to play music and, you know, you get to make people's day. And I think when I always remember that aspect of it, it just makes it that much better. I'm like, let's have fun like tonight. Like, you know, when I'm about to DJ, like, let's just have some fun. Like, you know, let's sing, let's dance. Like, let's forget about, you know, what probably had at work or trying to be too cool or people looking at us. Like, let's have some fun, man. So.
Yeah. Amen, brother. Amen. Well, that's another episode of Next in Line with DJ Leek.
Appreciate it.
DJ Chaz. Thank you, Kenden. Appreciate you coming through. Man. Thank you, DJ Leek. Appreciate you guys coming through, man. Phenomenal.
Thank you guys for having us.
Sir.